guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been busy on the flower farm this week because it is May. No, it's not May, it's March this week, and there's lots of things going on. I've got loads of seeds to sow. Things are starting to pop up in trays and in the field. I've seriously got a lot of prep to do. And like I said in my last video, I've been working on an online course. I feel like I've been spending a lot of time sat at my desk, so it feels great to be in the greenhouse doing jobs. Yesterday I spent the whole day just tidying up in this field. I gave the side of my polytunnel a bit of a scrub where it was looking a bit green. I prepped a load of compost for seed starting and just generally tidied things up a little bit. I've got a patch over here in front of me which has had a tarpaulin over it for a couple of years now. It got really weedy because I didn't really consider what I was going to do with it, so I kind of just left it as a bare patch, and that is one of the things that I'm trying to get away from, is not thinking forward about what I'm going to be using growing spaces for, especially if it's bare soil, because it is just going to get colonised by opportunistic weeds, and I need to think forward about what I'm going to grow or not in that patch before it gets taken over by those opportunistic weeds. So taking the tarpaulin off, and before the weeds take hold, I'm going to sprinkle some seeds over with it, so hopefully it will be a nice kind of pollinator patch, beneficial insect patch, and that's going to be really beneficial for having those beneficial insects next to my cut flowers this summer. It doesn't get an awful lot of sun there, but I'm hoping it does get some afternoon sun, and it gets a lot more sun in the summertime, so I'm hoping that it'll germinate okay and it'll get off to a good start in spring when we get some sunny days. So today I am catching up with seed sowing. I've got this list that I have been formulating over the last few weeks, which is my growing list of all of the varieties, all of the annual varieties that I'm growing this year. I'm just mixing up some compost this morning because I've got some homemade compost, I've got worm castings, I've got Johnson Sue compost, which is about a year and a half old. What else do I have? Lots of leaf mould as well. So I spent the morning sieving the leaf mould, and that acts as a kind of filler in my seed starting mixes. So if you don't have leaf mould, then you could use something like coir, which is supposed to be moisture retentive but doesn't really carry any nutrients. So the leaf mould is going to bulk up the compost, the seed starting mix, because seeds generally don't need much nutrients to germinate, or they don't need any nutrients to germinate because all of the nutrients is contained within the seed, but we want those plants to grow on nice and healthily. So I'm using living composts such as my homemade compost and a mixture of the Johnson Sue and the worm compost at no more than 20%, just so that I've got that biological element and also that nutritional element for the seedlings to grow on and hopefully be nice and healthy. Then I'm also going to be adding a little bit of perlite just because I've got some spare, and that's just going to help to create a little bit of texture and hopefully help with water and airflow in the seed starting mixes. So as I said in my last video, I've already sown things like snapdragons, larkspur, ammi, dorcas, things that can tolerate the cooler temperatures, and today I'm going to be mainly sowing I've got some stocks to sow that I'm going to grow in my polytunnel, and I've got some perennials to sow and some other things as well. So I will take you along with me. I'm going to make some seed starting mix. I'll show you what proportions I'm using all of my ingredients in, and I'll show you what seeds I'm sowing too. This is my Johnson Sue compost. As I said, it's about a year and a half old now. If you want to see how I made this, then I will put it up in the banner above and you can watch that video, but it is full of worms and worm castings. It had loads of good ingredients going into it, and it's matured for a long time, so it should be really amazing stuff. There's lots of really great studies on Johnson Sue compost and comparative studies as well that people have done to see how plants grow with and without it. Yeah, I'm really excited that I've got loads of it to use here on the flower farm this year. So with my seed starting mix, I ended up using 1 full bucket of homemade compost, so 1 part homemade compost, 1 part Eco Life compost, which is a product that I bought last year, which is a living compost, and it's got some insect frass and things like that in it, and some other additives, and then 1 part leaf mould and half a bucket of Johnson Sue and worm compost mixture, which works out at about 20%. So I'm ready to fill up my seed trays now and get sowing. Yesterday I managed to sow lots of seeds. I haven't actually counted up yet, but I had a very productive day, and it was kind of nervous energy because I released my online course last night, and initially the sales went really well, so I'm really pleased with that. It's only been online for about 12 hours or so, and I'm really pleased with the uptake so far. So if you want to learn how to grow cut flowers confidently, I give you the tools to plan your own cut flower patch so that you are in control of what is going on when you are growing your flowers and you're not kind of stabbing in the dark. So go and check that out. The link is down in my description. Yesterday I also managed to refresh the patch that is around the back of the polytunnel. I was looking at it last season and I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make this look presentable again, because last year at the start of the season it looked really clean and fresh. I was thinking it's looking very weedy and kind of a bit worn out, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to actually recuperate it. But yesterday I herded some of the weeds off, took some of the dock leaves out and the grass that was growing in there, and I refreshed the straw, so it's looking really nice and fresh there now. And I planted some things out yesterday, some snapdragons and a spare tray of sweet williams that I had. I have actually got some more things that I can plant out today. I've got a tray of larkspur and a tray of ammi, so I'll be planting those out today. So in the last few days I've sown lots of stocks. I've sown about 400 stocks, and I'm hoping to grow those on nice and quickly in the polytunnel. They really like cool temperatures, so I'm going to wait for them to germinate and get to a reasonable size, and then I'm going to plant them straight out into the polytunnel at 6-inch spacing so that they are nicely planted together, and hopefully they will produce some nice strong stock flowers for us. And they smell amazing, so who doesn't love stocks? I'm looking forward to those. I've got some coreopsis there, some achillea, so some echinacea from my own saved seed, and I'm hoping that with that being fresh seed, that's going to germinate. So I have actually sown quite a lot of perennials in the last couple of days here on the farm as well. More stocks, larkspur, lots of snapdragons. I think there's about 450 snapdragons as well. Lots of Canterbury bells. Those are the ones that will flower in a year, so they're bred as more of an annual than a biennial. And some Acroclinum grandiflorum, also known as Helipterum roseum. More Canterbury bells there. And here in the polytunnel I've got a makeshift workbench here. It's actually a little bit colder in here, I've just noticed. And there's some more perennials in here, some campanula, some Calibri poppies, which are not perennials obviously, Greek cress. Usually this self-seeds itself because I've grown it so often in the past, but I've decided to sow a tray of it this time just to make sure that I've got it planted out properly. And then we've got some grasses here and some scabious, some perennial scabious, and some oregano and some Limonium tataticum. I usually buy this at Christmas time for the wreath making, but I thought, why not grow it myself? I'm capable of doing so, so I've stuck some seed in that tray there. Some Trasmanthium latifolium, that's probably one of my favourite grasses that I grow here on the farm. And some Amelia javanica, Irish poet. Never grown that before, and I'm not sure how it's going to go. It kind of looks like a bit of a weedy wildflower, but it might be a nice pop of colour in some of the bouquets come summertime, so we'll see about that one. So this week I also had a big load of compost delivered. I was debating what to do with it because it is still very fresh, and I don't like to use that stuff very fresh because it is hot and it's not necessarily great for the plants. But what I'm going to do, I think, is spread it out in here so that it can cool down a bit quicker. It can get kind of associated with the soil microbes. I'm going to spray a load of compost extract onto it, and hopefully it will mellow down in time for planting when those stalks are ready. So I'm ready to form some beds in here. I did actually sow a cover crop of clover in here, which did start to germinate, but the rabbits have been in here. That's not rabbit evidence, that's Nelson the puppy evidence. But they've been doing a similar thing, digging it up and eating it. Little did I know that this lovely Friday morning sunrise planting was going to turn into a miserable rainy day. I managed to finish getting my bed planted up, and then I hid indoors for the rest of the day. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for watching this video.